Her hands are already awake, even if the rest of the house is not, smoothing a paper lunch bag flat against the kitchen table and folding its top into a neat little crease. Those same hands have buttoned coats, tested foreheads, braided hair, turned collars, buttered toast, and found more missing mittens than anyone could reasonably be expected to lose. On a school morning in the 1950s, a mother's hands seemed to know the way through the day, before daylight had properly entered the room. And behind every familiar movement was a quiet little world of skill that is easy to overlook now. If you genuinely enjoy these gentle journeys into the homes of the past, you are warmly invited to like the video and subscribe, and perhaps leave a comment telling us where you are listening from and which school morning sound you remember best: a percolator bubbling, a radio playing, shoes on the stairs, or someone calling that it was time to hurry. And if you prefer to listen with the screen put away, the show is also available on Spotify, which may be just the thing for a story about mornings when screens had not yet found their way onto the breakfast table. Now settle in and let a kitchen you remember, or one you can easily imagine, come softly into view, with its cool floor, its warm stove, and its one bright window waiting for the sun. What did a mother do before the children even opened their eyes? How did she make breakfast, pack lunches, mend a loose hem, settle an argument, and keep track of the clock without an electronic reminder sounding from every room? What small preparations had begun the evening before? Which routines belonged to nearly every household, and which changed from city apartment to farmhouse, from one income to another, and from one family tradition to the next? And how many of those old morning gestures still survive in our own hands, though the kitchen around us has changed? Let us ease back to an ordinary weekday in the autumn of 1956, in a modest American neighborhood where the maples are beginning to bronze, and the first pale light has not yet reached the rooftops. The house is quiet, the pavement outside is empty, and somewhere downstairs, a woman has just put her feet onto a cold bedroom floor. She does not begin the morning in quite the same way every other mother does. There was never one single 1950s household, despite the tidy pictures in advertisements. Some families lived in new suburban houses with picture windows and attached garages. Some lived above shops, in crowded city apartments, in rural farmhouses, in rented duplexes, in mining towns, mill towns, desert communities, and old neighborhoods where 3 generations might share a roof. Families differed in income, religion, region, race, ancestry, customs, and expectation. Some mothers worked for wages outside the home. Some took in sewing, laundry, ironing, borders, or bookkeeping. Some had relatives nearby. Some did not. Yet across many of these homes, school mornings carried a recognizable rhythm, made from clocks, clothes, food, weather, and the determined effort to move children from warm beds into the waiting day. In this house, the alarm clock sits on a small bedside table. It is a round-faced clock with 2 bells on top, though quieter electric models are also common by now. Its ticking has kept time through the dark. When it rings, the sound is direct and entirely uninterested in negotiation. The mother reaches out quickly, perhaps to stop it before it wakes her husband or the youngest child. For a moment she remains at the edge of the bed, gathering herself. The room is cool. Central heating is becoming more common in newer houses, but many homes still have chilly corners and floors that make bare feet move briskly. She slips into a robe and house shoes. If her hair has been set the night before, pins or rollers may still be tucked beneath a scarf or net. The elegant women in magazine illustrations appear to wake with smooth waves already in place. Real hair has always been more independent. She glances toward the window. The sky is still the color of watered milk. From the street comes almost nothing. Perhaps the faint passing of an early truck, the click of a furnace, or the low mechanical hum of a refrigerator downstairs. Before she leaves the room, She may straighten the bedding almost by instinct, not fully. That can wait until the occupants are up. But a pillow is placed back, a robe is tied, and yesterday's stockings or a handkerchief are gathered from a chair. Small, tidying movements are folded into larger ones. The morning does not begin with a written schedule so much as a chain of remembered tasks, each one leading naturally to the next. She crosses the hall and looks in on the children. There may be two, perhaps three. One lies diagonally under a chenille spread, having conquered a remarkable amount of mattress during the night. Another is curled tightly, with only a crown of hair showing above the blanket. The youngest has kicked off one cover. She draws it up gently, knowing she will soon return to wake them properly. In many homes, waking children is not the first job. Heat and breakfast come first. There is little kindness in sending a sleepy child into an unheated kitchen, and a hot cereal cannot be summoned in an instant. So she goes downstairs, one hand on the banister, avoiding the stair that creaks most loudly. The kitchen waits in blue-grey shadow. Perhaps it has linoleum patterned with small squares or flowers, easy to wipe and cold at this hour. The cabinets are painted cream. The table has chrome legs and a top edged in metal, or it may be an older wooden table worn smooth by years of elbows, bowls, homework and hot pans. A dish towel hangs from the oven handle. Yesterday's milk bottles may be by the door, rinsed and ready to be returned, if the neighbourhood still has doorstep delivery. She switches on the light. It is brighter than the dawn, but softer than a modern bank of ceiling lamps. The refrigerator answers with a low hum. If the stove is gas, there may be the click and small blue bloom of a flame. If electric, the coil darkens and then begins to glow. Coffee often comes early. An electric percolator is a familiar presence in many kitchens, though some families use a stovetop pot. Water is measured, coffee spooned into the basket, lid fitted into place. Soon the pot begins its patient business, first with a faint internal stir, and then with the bubbling sound that will become part of the household's waking music. The aroma moves through the kitchen, dark and warm. It reaches the hall before any human voice does. Tea may be preferred in another household. In some homes, chicory influences the coffee. In others, a pot of cocoa or warm milk is more important for the children. The exact drink changes, but the purpose is much the same. Warmth, wakefulness, and a small dependable comfort before the day begins asking questions. She checks the clock. The clock matters. There is no telephone in a child's pocket to display the time, no digital oven clock, no cheerful voice from a countertop device announcing the weather. The kitchen clock, wristwatch, radio, school bell, and mother's practiced sense of passing minutes keep the household moving. A glance at the hands tells her how long she has before the first child must be called and how much breakfast can realistically be made. Breakfast in the 1950s is not always the large spread promised by advertisements. On an ordinary school morning, it may be oatmeal, farina, toast, eggs, cold cereal, fruit, or yesterday's biscuits warmed in the oven. Families with more time or a heartier appetite might have bacon, sausage, pancakes, or fried potatoes, but economy and speed matter. The decade's glossy images often show tables crowded with orange juice, gleaming eggs, perfect toast, milk, cereal, and smiling children. Most actual mothers knew that a breakfast could be nourishing without auditioning for a magazine cover. This morning she chooses oatmeal. She measures water into a saucepan, adds a pinch of salt, and waits for the first beads of steam. Rolled oats require stirring and attention. They are inexpensive, filling, and familiar. If a child dislikes the texture, a spoonful of brown sugar, raisins, cinnamon, cream, or canned fruit may improve relations between breakfast and its reluctant customer. While the water heats, she opens the bread box. The bread may be store-bought, sliced and wrapped in waxed paper, or homemade in a household where baking remains part of the weekly rhythm. She counts slices, 2 for her husband, 1 or 2 for each child, perhaps heels saved for toast, because toasting has long served as the respectable second career of slightly stale bread. The toaster is likely a pop-up model by the middle of the decade, though older appliances remain in use. Earlier hinged toasters required the bread to be turned by hand. A pop-up toaster seems wonderfully convenient, provided it behaves. Toast has always possessed an uncanny ability to be pale for several minutes and then become charcoal during the one moment a person looks away. She sets out bowls, cups, spoons, and plates. In a compact kitchen, everything is close at hand, but that does not make the work disappear. The dishes must be taken down, food measured, pans watched, spills wiped, and all of it cleaned later. Efficiency comes from repetition. Her hand reaches toward the correct cupboard without conscious thought. The table may already have been partly set the night before. This was one of the small habits that softened the morning. Bowls placed upside down to keep out dust, napkins folded, cereal boxes ready, lunch supplies gathered together. A mother who had lived through the Depression or wartime shortages often disliked waste and appreciated preparation. She knew the ease created by 5 quiet minutes used wisely the evening before. On the counter, the children's lunchboxes wait. Metal lunchboxes became increasingly decorated during the 1950s, with television and film characters, cowboys, trains, space themes, and other bright designs. Not every child owned one. Many carried a plain metal box, a reusable pail, or a brown paper bag. Some went home for lunch if they lived close enough. Others ate a school meal. The choice depended on the school, the distance, the family budget, and the child. If lunches are carried, the work may already be half finished. Sandwich fillings were often prepared from what the household had: peanut butter and jelly, cheese, egg salad, tuna salad, sliced meat, bologna, leftover roast or meatloaf. Regional and family preferences shaped the contents. A mother might spread butter or margarine thinly to keep a moist filling from soaking through the bread. She works from edge to edge, because a dry corner is a small disappointment at noon. The waxed paper comes from a cardboard box with a cutting edge. She tears off a sheet and folds it around the sandwich, making crisp, overlapping seams. Plastic sandwich bags exist by the later 1950s, but waxed paper remains common, useful, and familiar. The wrapped sandwich is placed beside an apple, orange, banana, homemade cookie, piece of cake, or a few crackers. A small thermos may hold milk, cocoa, or soup. Glass-lined thermos bottles need gentle handling, which is not always the natural gift of a schoolchild, but mothers keep trying. She remembers that one child dislikes mustard and another claims to dislike crusts, though the opinion about crusts can change according to who packed the lunch. She writes a name on the paper bag if necessary. In some homes she slips in a napkin. Occasionally there may be a tiny note, but this was not a universal ritual, and plenty of care was communicated without handwriting. The sandwich cut diagonally, the preferred cookie, or the apple polished on the dish towel could say enough. The oatmeal water begins to boil. She pours in the oats and lowers the heat. The spoon circles slowly. Steam touches her face. The kitchen is warmer now, and the scent of coffee has deepened. You can let your eyes rest if they are growing heavy. The morning will continue whether you watch every detail, or simply listen to the spoon passing around the pan, round and round, while the old clock moves quietly towards 6:30. Before waking the children, she may turn on the radio. A tabletop set stands on a shelf or counter, its casing made of wood or molded plastic, its dial softly lit. The announcer's voice enters the room with the weather, local news, time checks, farm reports in rural areas, or morning music. Radio is still a strong companion in the 1950s, even as television gathers families in the evening. It speaks without asking anyone to stop working and look at it. That makes it suited to kitchens. The weather report can change the whole morning. Rain means rubbers, raincoats, umbrellas, and perhaps towels near the door later. Snow means boots, scarves, mittens, and additional minutes that must somehow be found. Warm weather simplifies clothing, but may raise questions about whether a child needs a sweater. Mothers have spent generations offering sweaters to children who insist they are warm, and then asking for them back from children who have forgotten where they left them. She turns down the oatmeal and goes upstairs. The first waking is gentle. A hand on a shoulder, a quiet calling of the child's name. Curtains drawn enough to admit the grey beginning of day. She may say that it is morning, or that breakfast is nearly ready. She may give a time, because older children understand that the clock has authority even if they do not welcome it. One child opens her eyes. Another makes a sound from beneath the blanket that could mean anything from "Yes, mother" to "I have decided to remain here until spring." The mother moves to the next room, knowing that the first child may require a second visit. Children's rooms in the decade are often shared. Two sisters may sleep in twin beds with matching spreads. Brothers may have bunk beds or simple iron or wooden frames. Dressers hold folded shirts, underclothes, handkerchiefs and socks. A chair becomes the usual landing place for clothing, books and dolls. On the walls there may be pennants, family photographs, religious pictures, movie stars, horses, baseball players, or nothing more elaborate than wallpaper chosen years before. Clothing has often been selected the night before, especially for younger children. This is practical, not ceremonial. A dress is hung on the closet door. Trousers and a shirt are placed over a chair. Socks are paired. Shoes have been found. If there is a school uniform, choices are fewer, though laundering and pressing still matter. If there is no uniform, children's clothing generally reflects school expectations that are more formal than those of many classrooms today. Girls commonly wear dresses or skirts and blouses to school, often with ankle socks, knee socks, or stockings, depending on age, weather, and local custom. Boys wear trousers or dungarees where permitted, with shirts, sweaters, or jackets. Blue jeans are increasingly part of children's lives, but are not accepted in every school. Dress codes and community standards vary. In colder places, girls may wear snow pants beneath skirts for the journey and remove them at school. Such arrangements require patience, hooks, and the ability to keep track of several layers before the final bell. The mother lifts a shirt and inspects the collar. She checks a cuff. She looks for missing buttons, loose hems, and yesterday's stain that seemed smaller in evening light. Clothing is not as abundant or as casually replaced as it will become for many families in later decades. A garment is expected to serve, be washed, mended, handed down, and serve again. She has likely done some of this inspection the night before. Perhaps after supper, while the family listened to the radio or watched television, she held a sock over a darning egg and worked yarn across a thinning heel. Darning socks was already declining as mass-produced replacements became cheaper, but many women still knew how. A button could be sewn in a few minutes. A hem could be caught with nearly invisible stitches. A torn seam was not a ruined garment. It was a small task waiting for thread. In a sewing basket downstairs are needles, cards of buttons, hooks and eyes, snaps, thimbles, elastic, embroidery scissors, and spools in useful colours. Buttons from worn-out clothing may be saved in a tin or jar. Many listeners will remember such a button box, full of unmatched treasures that could occupy a child for a surprisingly peaceful stretch of time. It was part repair kit, part family archive, and part toy, though no one had purchased it as any of those things. Now the children begin to rise. Bare feet touch the floor and withdraw, then try again. Pajamas are rumpled. Hair stands in improbable directions. A younger child carries a blanket into the hall, until reminded that the blanket belongs on the bed. The bathroom becomes the next point of negotiation. Many post-war suburban homes have one bathroom for the entire family. Older houses and apartments may have one as well, sometimes shared by more people. A second bathroom is a luxury, not an assumption. Morning order matters. The father may be shaving at the sink, using a safety razor, shaving soap, or one of the electric razors increasingly advertised to men. The mirror is beginning to fog. A child waits in the hall with a toothbrush. Someone knocks. Someone else says there are only 2 minutes left. The mother keeps track of who has washed and who has merely visited the bathroom and hoped the visit itself would count. Toothbrushing is an established routine, encouraged by parents, schools, dentists, and advertising, though habits differ from family to family. Toothpaste comes in tubes, and brushes stand in a holder or cup. The child squeezes too much paste. Water runs. The cap vanishes beneath a washcloth, though no one has moved it. Faces and hands are washed with bar soap. A washcloth is wrung out and hung, at least in theory. Ears may receive a maternal inspection. Hair is wetted, combed, parted, tied, braided, pinned, or brushed into shape. For girls, mothers may fasten ribbons, barrettes, headbands, or elastic bands. Ponytails are popular, as are shorter cuts and carefully arranged curls. Boys' hair is generally kept neat and shorter, with a side part in many families. A little water and a comb can correct much, though there are mornings when one's stubborn lock seems to have formed a personal philosophy. The mother may dress before the children come down, or she may still be in her robe. The famous expectation that a homemaker should appear fresh, attractive, and composed has filled advice columns and advertisements, but actual mornings do not always cooperate. Some women put on a house dress early because they feel more prepared when dressed. Others protect their clothes with an apron while cooking. A mother who plans to walk children to school, drive them, attend a school meeting, or go to paid work must prepare herself as well, usually in the spaces between preparing everyone else. A house dress is practical and washable, often made of cotton, rayon, or a synthetic blend as newer fibers become common. It may button or zip at the front. Over it goes an apron, perhaps a simple half apron, or a fuller style covering the bodice. Aprons protect clothing from flour, grease, dishwater, dust, and the many mysterious marks that appear in a kitchen before 8 in the morning. She may apply face powder, lipstick, or rouge, perhaps lightly. Cosmetics are widely promoted and commonly used, but practices vary. She might pin her hair, brush it, or cover curlers with a scarf until later. The goal is not necessarily glamour. It is the feeling of being properly dressed for the day, according to the standards she knows. Downstairs, the oatmeal thickens. She returns just in time to stir it away from the bottom of the pan. The toast pops. She butters each slice while it is hot, and the butter melts into the rough surface. If margarine is used, it may come already coloured by this period, depending on the place and year. Earlier restrictions had often left families mixing colouring into pale margarine themselves. By 1956, that peculiar kitchen task is disappearing in much of the country, though some women remember it well. Milk is taken from the refrigerator. Home refrigerators have become standard in many households, though not every family owns the newest model shown in advertisements. Some have small freezing compartments that gather frost in thick white shelves. Defrosting is a regular chore. The freezer may hold ice trays, a package of frozen vegetables, or a small amount of meat, not the broad inventory of a modern freezer. The milk might have arrived in glass bottles with paper caps. Cream rises in non-homogenized milk, and can gather at the top, though homogenized milk is increasingly common. Bottles are rinsed and returned. In colder climates, winter deliveries can bring their own small dramas, with frozen milk pushing the cap upward if left too long. For children, however, the important fact is simpler. There is milk in a glass, and they are expected to drink it. The first child enters the kitchen wearing one sock and carrying the other. The mother looks over her shoulder. "Where is your shoe?" The child does not know. This is not surprising, although shoes usually come in pairs and generally remain within the limits of the house. A search begins without becoming a full search yet. She tells the child to eat while she checks beneath the chair, beside the radiator, near the back door, and under the bed. The missing shoe is eventually found somewhere both obvious and unreasonable, perhaps beneath yesterday's newspaper. The other children arrive, chairs scrape, a spoon clinks against a bowl. Someone asks for more sugar. Someone says the oatmeal has a skin. Someone else reaches for toast before grace, if the family says grace. In many households, a brief blessing marks the meal. In others, breakfast begins with the practical holiness of getting everyone fed before the bus comes. The father joins them if his work schedule permits. He may have already left for an early shift, or he may eat quickly before catching a train, bus, streetcar, or carpool. In a one-car household, the family automobile often goes with the wage earner, leaving the mother to walk, use public transport, or arrange errands around his schedule. Car ownership expands dramatically in the post-war years, but a second family car is not yet ordinary for many. At the table, the radio offers the time again. The mother listens with half an ear. She does not need to look up to know that one child is stirring rather than eating. She slides the toast nearer. She pours coffee. She wipes a drop of milk before it reaches a lap. Breakfast manners matter. Children are reminded to sit properly, use a napkin, chew with mouths closed, and not read at the table, depending on household rules. Elbows may be corrected. A child who bolts food is told to slow down. A child who studies each oat as if conducting scientific research is told to speed up. The mother adjusts time in both directions. She may eat with the family, standing and sitting by turns, or wait until the rush has passed. Advice writers often encourage mothers to sit down and have a proper breakfast. Reality may give her 3 spoonfuls of oatmeal, half a piece of toast, and coffee reheated later. Yet there are also calm mornings when everyone eats together, when conversation is easy and no mitten has disappeared. Nostalgia need not pretend every morning was serene, only that serenity sometimes arrived in small, memorable pockets. The children talk about school, a spelling test, a library book due today, a note requiring a signature. The note appears now, folded into quarters and softened from a night in a pocket. The mother unfolds it with one hand, while holding the coffee pot with the other. Perhaps it announces a field trip, a parent meeting, a request for empty jars, or the need for a costume by Friday. School communication travels by paper and child. This system works remarkably well, except when the paper and the child briefly lose interest in each other. She signs the note. A fountain pen may still be used, though ballpoint pens have become increasingly common and convenient. She returns the paper and watches it go into the school bag. If she does not watch, it may return to the same pocket and reappear at supper. School bags range from satchels and briefcase-like cases to canvas bags, book straps, and simple armfuls of books. Backpacks are not yet the nearly universal school accessory they will become. Younger children may carry little beyond a lunchbox, a pencil box, papers, and perhaps a reader. Older ones carry textbooks home, often wrapped in brown paper covers to protect them. Those covers may have been made from grocery bags at the beginning of the term. The paper is cut open, folded around the boards, and labelled carefully. Children draw names, flowers, cars, initials, or little designs on them as the weeks pass. The mother may help cover the books, smoothing the paper and creasing each corner. It is another example of ordinary materials being given a second use. At breakfast, she remembers the library book. The child does not. The search moves to the living room. Cushions are lifted. The book is found beneath a magazine, beside the sofa, or on the stairs where someone placed it so it would not be forgotten. It is not forgotten, though only narrowly. While children eat, the mother begins packing the finished lunches. Sandwiches go in first, then fruit and sweets. A folded paper napkin fills a corner. The thermos is checked for leaks. In colder weather, soup may be poured in hot after the container has been warmed with boiling water. The lid must be tightened firmly, but not beyond the child's ability to open it at noon, an exact standard known mostly through experience. A school cafeteria meal is another possibility. The expansion of school lunch programs means many children can buy a balanced meal at school, though availability and menus differ. A child may carry coins in a little purse or pocket. The mother counts them twice and gives the familiar warning not to lose them. Coins have a tendency to migrate into trouser cuffs, coat linings, desk compartments, and the deep unknown beneath car seats. If lunches are made at home, economy shapes them. Leftovers are useful. Sunday's roast becomes Monday's sandwich. A hard-boiled egg becomes egg salad. Homemade cookies stretch across several lunches if no one discovers the tin too early. The mother knows which fruit will survive a school bag and which will return as a bruise in paper wrapping. There may be no individual packages of snacks, no juice boxes, no small plastic compartments clipped together. A lunch is wrapped, poured, tucked, and fitted into place. It produces little disposable clutter beyond paper, though this is not presented as an environmental philosophy. It is simply how the household works. She closes each lunchbox and snaps the metal clasp. Names may be marked inside. One box has a dent from last year. Another carries a picture that the child selected with great seriousness. It sits near the back door beside coats and books, one more piece of the morning assembled and ready. Now the clothing inspection begins in earnest. A daughter enters in a skirt and blouse. The blouse has come untucked at one side. The mother straightens it, smooths the collar, and checks that the cardigan is buttoned correctly. Starting a row of buttons one hole too high or too low can produce an arrangement that feels almost right until the bottom is reached. Then the whole matter must be reconsidered. She fastens a cuff. Her fingers move quickly. Perhaps she notices that the hem is loose at the back. There is no time for a complete repair, but there is time for a few stitches. The sewing basket comes out. She threads a needle, knotting the end with practiced fingers. The child stands on a chair or turns slowly while the mother catches the hem without taking the skirt off. This is done carefully. A few small stitches hold the fabric until a better repair can be made. The needle goes back into the pincushion, not left loose on the table. Such moments are common because clothes are expected to last. A mother may mend after washing, noticing weak seams while ironing. She may patch the knee of play trousers, replace elastic, turn a collar, shorten a hand-me-down, or let down a hem as a child grows. Many women learned basic sewing at home or in school. Home economics courses teach cooking, textiles, laundering, budgeting, and household management, though the quality and emphasis vary. Sewing machines are familiar household tools. Some mothers make dresses, shirts, pajamas, curtains, and costumes. Others restrict their sewing to repairs. Skill has many levels, and no woman becomes less caring because a zipper defeats her. In this house, the machine sits in a cabinet in the dining room. Closed, it looks like a small table. Open, it becomes a workshop. A paper pattern may rest in a drawer, its tissue pieces folded with more hope than precision. Fabric saved from an older garment may become a child's skirt or apron. Flour sacks, especially in earlier decades and rural homes, had often been reused for clothing and household linens. Manufacturers even produced sacks in printed designs because families valued the cloth. By the 1950s, this practice is less central than before, yet the habit of seeing possibility in good fabric remains. The son's trousers are clean but wrinkled at one knee. She smooths the cloth and decides it will do. Not every crease requires battle. His shirt collar is turned under. She corrects it. His hair is not as well combed as he believes. She corrects that too. A handkerchief goes into each pocket. Disposable facial tissues are available and increasingly common, but cloth handkerchiefs remain ordinary. They are washed, ironed, folded, and returned to drawers. Children are reminded to use them, particularly during cold season. The reminder is not always followed at the ideal moment, but hope persists. In colder weather, outerwear makes the morning more complicated. Coats hang on hooks or wait in a hall closet, carrying the faint smell of wool, outdoor air, and perhaps moth-proofing from summer storage. Hats, scarves, mittens, and gloves live in baskets, drawers, pockets, and occasionally every place except the one where they belong. A mother may sew mittens to a long cord threaded through coat sleeves, especially for a younger child. This keeps the pair attached and produces a simple system that seems almost impossible to defeat. Children, with dedication, sometimes manage. Boots are pulled on over shoes or worn separately. Rubber overshoes and galoshes protect leather footwear. Fasteners may be stiff. A child stamps, tugs, and asks for help. The mother kneels on the hall floor, guiding the heel into place. She may wrap her apron around her knees without thinking. School clothes must suit the weather and the expectations of the classroom. Wool sweaters provide warmth but can itch at the neck. Cotton undershirts add a layer. Girls may wear leggings or snow pants beneath dresses. Scarves are tied beneath chins. Hoods are fastened. The final effect can be wonderfully secure and rather round, like a small parcel prepared for careful mailing. Before all that comes the check of schoolwork. Homework habits in the 1950s differ by age, teacher, and school, but children may have arithmetic problems, spelling words, handwriting practice, reading, geography, history, or reports. The mother may have supervised at the kitchen table the evening before, while preparing supper or washing dishes. She does not necessarily know every answer. She may check neatness, listen to reading, call out spelling words, or ensure that the work is complete. The kitchen table often serves as the family's general purpose desk. It holds flour in the afternoon, homework before supper, plates in the evening, and folded laundry later. Its surface is cleared and reclaimed repeatedly. A child bends over lined paper, pencil moving slowly. The mother shells peas, peels potatoes, or irons nearby. Learning and housework share the room. If the father helps with arithmetic or listens to a report, the task becomes part of the evening family rhythm. Older siblings may assist younger ones. Some mothers have completed high school, some have attended college, and others left school earlier because of family needs or economic circumstances. Their educational histories vary widely. What they often contribute is steadiness, a place to sit, a sharpened pencil, a question asked again, and the insistence that the assignment return to school. This morning, one workbook is still on the table beneath the newspaper. She picks it up, checks the name, and slides it into the bag. Pencils are inspected. Wooden pencils need sharpening. The sharpener may be mounted to a wall at home or provided in the classroom. A small hand sharpener makes curls of fragrant cedar. The mother brushes the shavings into her palm and drops them in the wastebasket. An eraser, ruler, crayons, paste, or fountain pen may be needed. Supplies are not bought in giant quantities for every child. A pencil is used until it becomes short. Crayons live in a box with broken companions and wrappers worn thin. Paste often comes in a jar with a brush, and children are familiar with its particular almond-like smell. There are always one or two school supplies that spend the year without their proper lids. The mother checks a child's pockets for marbles, a toy car, gum, or any object likely to become more interesting than the teacher. What is allowed varies. A favourite small treasure may be permitted. A noisy one is returned to the dresser. The radio gives another time signal. The pace tightens, though the mother's movements may become calmer rather than faster. Experience teaches that visible panic rarely improves buttoning. Finish your milk. Get your sweater. Your book is on the chair. Please do not tease your brother. The phrases are ordinary. They have been spoken in different forms for generations. What changes are the objects? What remains is the need to guide several minds toward one departure time. If you are listening with your eyes closed now, you can allow those voices to soften into the background. Hear the clock, the low radio, the cupboard door, and the gentle scrape of a chair. Nothing needs to be hurried where you are. The mother removes the oatmeal pan from the stove and fills it with water before the remains can harden. This small action will save effort later. She stacks breakfast dishes near the sink, perhaps washing a few while the children finish dressing. Dishwashers exist and are being marketed to post-war households, but they are far from universal. Many kitchens rely on a sink, dishpan, hot water, soap, and human hands. Hot water may come from a modern water heater, but in older or less equipped homes its supply can be limited. Dishwashing has an order. Glasses and lightly soiled dishes first, then plates and cutlery, pans last. The mother may not complete the work before school departure. Still, she rinses the milk glasses and soaks the pan. The kitchen will wait, but she prefers it to wait politely. She wipes crumbs from the table with a damp cloth. Crumbs are gathered into her hand, not scattered onto the floor. The sugar bowl is covered. Milk returns to the refrigerator. Butter goes back before it softens too far. Lunch-making tools are rinsed. These motions take seconds, but there are many seconds in domestic work, and they add up to a room that can be entered later without surprise. The children are almost ready. Now comes personal inspection, often performed near the door where the light is better. A face receives one last wipe. A collar is flattened. A ribbon is retied. A belt is threaded through a mist loop. A shoelace is tightened. The mother may dampen her thumb to remove a smudge from a cheek, a method remembered by many children with less affection than efficiency. It is quick, portable, and requires no new appliance. She looks for clean fingernails. Schools may include hygiene lessons, and teachers notice appearance. Parents feel a child represents the household. That expectation can be burdensome, but it also reflects the pride invested in sending children out clean, prepared, and cared for. Cleanliness requires more labour than the final neat appearance suggests. The clothes were washed, dried, pressed, mended, folded, and stored before they could be worn. In 1956, many families have electric washing machines, though automatic models are not yet in every home. Wringer washers remain common. Some apartment dwellers use shared laundry rooms or laundromats. Others wash at home in tubs or send selected items to a laundry service if they can afford it. Wash day may be Monday by tradition, but school clothing is monitored throughout the week. A child who spills at supper can create an unscheduled soaking operation. White socks and blouses may be treated separately. Stains are rubbed with soap. Clothes are sorted by colour and fabric. Water temperatures are judged. Bleach, bluing, starch, and soap or detergent all have their place. Synthetic detergents have gained wide use since the war years, and washing products are heavily advertised. Yet the machine does not perform the whole task. Clothes must be carried, measured, fed through a wringer if that is the machine used, rinsed, lifted wet, and hung to dry. Wringer rollers demand care. Women who use them know how to guide cloth safely, release pressure, and prevent buttons from cracking. Children are kept away while the machine runs. In fair weather, laundry goes onto an outdoor line. The basket rests against the hip. Clothespins are held in an apron pocket or a sliding bag. Sheets snap in the breeze, shirts hang by their hems or tails, socks line up in pairs if fortune is kind. Winter laundry can freeze stiff, and indoor drying racks appear near stoves or radiators. Rain changes the plan. A mother watches the sky with an interest that modern weather apps merely imitate. The smell of line-dried clothing is difficult to reproduce. Cotton comes indoors carrying sun, wind, and cold air. It may feel slightly stiff until worn. The mother shakes each piece, folds what does not need ironing, and places the rest in a basket. Much school clothing does need ironing by 1950s standards. Permanent press fabrics are not yet the broad rescue they will later become. Cotton dresses, shirts, blouses, handkerchiefs, and some household linens are sprinkled with water, rolled and left to become evenly damp before ironing. A sprinkler bottle may have a perforated top. The damp bundle is kept cool so it does not mildew. The ironing board opens in the kitchen or living room. The iron is electric, solid, and heavy enough to give the wrist a day's work. Some models produce steam, though dry irons remain common. The mother tests the heat, perhaps with a damp finger held near the sole plate or by pressing an inconspicuous place. She knows the order of a shirt: collar, yoke, sleeves, cuffs, body. She works around buttons, sets pleats, and creates sharp creases where fashion expects them. There may be starch in a boy's shirt or a girl's cotton dress. A freshly ironed garment has a particular smell: warm cloth with a faint trace of starch. It hangs from a wooden or wire hanger, smooth and ready. By school morning, all that work has vanished into the appearance of a simple, clean shirt. Shoes carry similar invisible labor. Leather school shoes are brushed and polished. Scuffs are covered with polish matched to black, brown, oxblood, or white. White shoe polish may be applied from a bottle with a dauber, leaving a chalky brightness once dry. Laces are replaced when frayed. Soles and heels may be repaired by a cobbler rather than the shoes being discarded. On a Saturday or evening, children may be expected to polish their own shoes, depending on age. Still, the mother often notices what has been missed. A quick rub with a cloth on a school morning restores the shine. She sets the shoe down, and the child immediately steps in something dusty. This is one of domestic life's smaller comic traditions. The neat child now standing by the door represents hours of work distributed across earlier days. Laundry, mending, ironing, shopping, budgeting, and care have all been condensed into a clean collar and matched socks. The shopping behind breakfast and lunches requires its own planning. Grocery stores are changing during the 1950s. Self-service supermarkets have expanded, offering rows of packaged goods, produce, meat counters, dairy cases, and frozen foods. Smaller neighborhood grocers still serve many communities, and rural households may travel farther for supplies. Deliveries continue in some places. Mothers compare prices, use coupons, watch weekly specials, and plan meals around what the budget allows. A household notebook may contain a grocery list and weekly menu. Another mother keeps the plan entirely in her head. She knows how many slices remain in the bread box, how much milk will be needed, and whether lunch meat must stretch through Thursday. She also knows that children's appetites do not always consult the plan. The 1950s bring a growing range of convenience foods: boxed cake mixes, canned soups, frozen orange juice concentrate, frozen vegetables, instant puddings, and prepared cereals promise to save time. Some women welcome them, others use them selectively. Convenience is rarely an all-or-nothing choice. A mother may serve boxed cereal at breakfast. homemade soup at lunch, and a cake mix improved with her own frosting for supper. Household traditions and new products share the same shelf. Advertising often presents convenience as the route to leisure, yet the standards of housekeeping can rise as labor-saving products spread. A quicker washing machine may mean more frequent laundering. Easier cleaning products may encourage brighter kitchens and higher expectations. Time saved in one place is often assigned to another. Still, no mother using a washing machine feels obliged to miss the washboard. This morning's orange juice may come from concentrate. She opens the small frozen cylinder, empties it into a pitcher, adds water, and stirs. Compared with squeezing several oranges, it is genuinely quick. The flavor is familiar to many post-war children. The cardboard container, metal end, and thick, icy concentrate belong to a particular period of kitchen memory. Cold cereal is another convenient choice, especially for a child who rejects hot cereal. Boxes carry colorful designs and sometimes offers for prizes. The child studies the back while eating, despite a rule against reading at the table. The mother pours only what will be finished, because wasted food is noticed. A small amount can always be replenished. On other mornings, she fries an egg, turning it with a metal spatula. Bacon cooks slowly, scenting the whole house and tempting anyone who had claimed not to be hungry. Grease is saved in a tin or jar for later cooking. Biscuits may be split and warmed. Pancake batter may be mixed on a less hurried day. A waffle iron is a cherished appliance in some homes, though perhaps better suited to Sunday than Tuesday. Breakfast reflects region. Grits may steam in southern kitchens. Cornmeal mush may be fried in slices. Biscuits and gravy appear in some households, toast and jam in others. Rice, tortillas, beans, fish, or foods rooted in immigrant and family traditions may be part of the morning. The popular image of bacon, eggs, and orange juice captures only one portion of American life. Mothers also consider nutrition according to the knowledge and advice of the time. Milk is strongly encouraged for children. Breakfast is treated as important. The basic food groups, promoted during the 1950s, guide school and home lessons about balanced meals. Mothers are urged to serve foods from several categories and to provide enough protein, fruit, vegetables, bread, and dairy. The language and recommendations will change over the decades, but the morning concern is recognizable. Has the child eaten enough to reach lunchtime comfortably? A child who refuses breakfast presents a problem. The mother may coax, bargain, simplify, or wrap a piece of toast for the walk. Some children wake hungry. Others seem offended by food before 9. She learns each appetite and works around it. A boiled egg, half a banana, cocoa, or toast with peanut butter may succeed where a bowl of cereal does not. Illness can interrupt the routine at any moment. A mother touches a child's forehead, studies the eyes, listens to a cough, and decides whether school is sensible. Thermometers are glass and require time. If fever or clear illness is present, the child stays home. There is no email attendance form. She telephones the school if the household has a phone and the school requests it, sends word through a sibling, or follows local practice. The telephone may be mounted on the kitchen wall or sit on a hall table. Rotary dialing requires a finger in each numbered hole and a full circular turn. Party lines still exist in some areas, particularly rural ones, so several households may share a line. Calls are kept reasonably brief, and privacy is not always perfect. The phone is useful, but it does not travel from room to room unless the cord is unusually generous. If the mother works outside the home, a sick child creates a more difficult arrangement. Despite the era's strong public image of the full-time homemaker, many married women and mothers do paid work. They are teachers, nurses, clerks, factory workers, cleaners, saleswomen, farm workers, office employees, domestic workers, family business partners, and much more. Their morning routine contains the same breakfast and clothing concerns, compressed beside their own departure. A working mother may rise earlier, prepare lunches the night before, set out clothes, and depend on an older child, husband, relative, neighbor, or paid caregiver. Some children attend school near the mother's workplace. Some walk with siblings. The workday requires additional grooming, a uniform pressed, stockings checked for runs, shoes polished, hair arranged, handbag packed, and bus fare ready. In some communities, the idealized suburban homemaker shown on television has little resemblance to the practical reality. Families may rely on women's wages. Mothers may perform paid labor from home, taking in ironing, sewing, typing, or laundry. A farmhouse morning includes livestock and food production. An apartment morning may include several flights of stairs to reach the street. Yet the school bell waits at the same fixed hour. Our mother, in this 1956 kitchen, does not leave for paid work today, though her day will hardly be empty once the children depart. She checks the clock again. 10 minutes. The children gather in the hall. Lunchboxes are assigned. Schoolbags are lifted. A raincoat is rejected and then accepted when she opens the door, and a cool, damp wind enters. The pavement shines faintly. Leaves cling to the curb. She may listen for the school bus. Bus routes are common in rural and suburban districts, especially where consolidation has placed schools farther from homes. In older city neighborhoods, children often walk or use public transit. Some mothers drive, but school drop-off does not yet have the long, organized lines familiar outside many schools today. Fewer households have 2 cars, and neighborhood schools are often close enough for walking. If children walk, they may go in groups. Older siblings are expected to watch younger ones. A crossing guard or school patrol assists at busy streets. Boys and girls in bright patrol belts may stand at corners, taking their duty very seriously. Mothers look through windows or walk to the gate until the group is safely together. Before they leave, there are final instructions. Come straight home. Do not trade your good gloves. Remember your library book. Watch at the crossing. Give this envelope to your teacher. Each instruction is brief because there is no way to guarantee that more than 3 will survive the trip. A kiss may be given at the door, depending on the child's age and tolerance for being observed by friends. A younger child accepts it. An older one turns a cheek quickly. Affection follows the manners of the family. Some homes are openly demonstrative. Others express care in a buttoned coat and a lunch packed just so. The door opens. Cool air rushes in around their ankles. The children step outside, voices suddenly larger in the open morning. Shoes tap down the steps. Lunchboxes swing. One child runs back for the forgotten book, exactly as the mother expected. She hands it over without comment. There are victories too small to announce. If the bus comes, its engine is heard before the yellow body rounds the corner. School buses have become a familiar feature, though designs and safety standards continue to develop. Children gather at the stop. The mother watches from the porch or window. The folding door opens. One by one they climb aboard and disappear behind glass. If they walk, she stands at the gate. The group moves away beneath trees, coats bright against the muted street. A child turns and waves. Another is already telling a story with both hands. The mother waits until they cross the corner. Then the street becomes quiet again. There is a particular hush after school children leave. It is not the silence of early morning. It contains the memory of movement, a chair left slightly out, a damp ring beneath a glass, the smell of toast, one lost mitten discovered too late beneath the radiator. The clock keeps going, but the house seems to exhale. She closes the door and carries the mitten to the hall table. It will be waiting in the afternoon. For a moment, she may stand in the kitchen with her coffee. It is no longer hot. She drinks it anyway, or warms it in a small pan. Microwave ovens are not household fixtures, so reheating requires the stove. Some things take longer, though a quiet kitchen and a saucepan are not poor company. She looks around. Breakfast dishes wait. Beds are unmade. Towels hang crookedly. There are crumbs, damp boots, pajamas, and the oatmeal pan. The school morning is over, but its second half has begun, restoring the house and preparing for the next arrival. Domestic work is cyclical. It does not move toward permanent completion. A bed is made so it can be slept in again. A cup is washed so it can hold tomorrow's coffee. A shirt is ironed so it can be wrinkled by a child leaning over a desk. This repetition can be tiring, but it also gives the day its steady shape. She ties her apron more firmly and begins with dishes. The sink fills with hot suds. Soap bubbles gather against the enamel. She washes glasses, bowls, spoons, plates, and the saucepan. A dishcloth moves around the rim of each cup. Clean dishes stand in a wire rack or are dried with a cotton towel. If a daughter is old enough, she may have dried dishes after supper the previous evening. Children commonly have chores: setting the table, clearing plates, taking out rubbish, sweeping, making beds, feeding pets, carrying coal or wood in some homes, or helping with younger siblings. Expectations vary, but the household often depends on participation. A mother teaches work by doing it beside a child and then, eventually, trusting the child to do it alone. This morning she works by herself. The radio plays a song. An announcer reads an advertisement for soap or a household product, promising results with astonishing confidence. She smiles perhaps because no powder has yet learned to pick up socks. The dishes are put away. She wipes the stove, especially around the burner, where oatmeal has left a small pale ring. The table receives a thorough cleaning. Chairs are pushed in. The floor is swept with a broom. Brooms remain essential even in houses with vacuum cleaners. A kitchen floor is quickly swept. The broom reaches crumbs beneath the table and dust near the baseboards. The debris gathers into a little line and is collected in a dustpan. If the floor needs mopping, she fills a pail and uses a string mop, sponge mop, or cloth on her hands and knees, depending on the home and her preferred method. Linoleum is prized for its practical surface and colourful patterns. It still needs care. Too much water can damage seams. Waxing gives shine but adds another stage. Manufacturers offer specialised cleaners. A mother may have her own formula, learned from experience, and adjusted according to what is affordable. She opens the back door a little to let cooking smells and damp air escape. Outside, the neighbourhood has fully awakened. A delivery truck stops nearby. A dog barks. A woman shakes a small rug from a porch. The day has moved on from the children's departure, though traces of it remain everywhere. Upstairs, she opens bedroom curtains and windows if the weather allows. Fresh air is considered important. Beds are turned back for a while before being made, allowing them to air. Then sheets are pulled smooth, blankets straightened, spreads drawn up, pillows plumped. Making a bed is another practiced sequence. The bottom sheet is tightened, corners tucked. The top sheet is drawn evenly. Blankets are aligned. The bedspread is lifted and allowed to settle. In a shared room, two beds emerge neat and parallel from the disorder of early morning. She picks up pajamas and folds them beneath pillows or places them where the household keeps them. A toy is returned to a shelf. Pencils go into a cup. She does not necessarily perform every task for older children. Some are expected to make their own beds before school. Whether they have done so well enough is a separate question. The room smells of sleep, cotton, face powder, and the fresh air entering through the window. Sunlight now touches the dresser. Dust appears in it, floating slowly. She wipes the surface with a cloth and straightens a framed school photograph. The school photograph shows a child with carefully combed hair and a serious expression. Picture day required special preparation: clean clothes, polished shoes, hair arranged, and perhaps a stern warning not to trade sweaters before the camera. The final portrait will be sent to grandparents, tucked into wallets, and displayed for years after the hairstyle has become evidence of a particular decade. In the bathroom, she rinses the sink, hangs towels, empties water from the soap dish, and restores toothbrushes to their holder. The bathtub may require scrubbing later. For now, the room is reset. Daily bathing is not universal in the same way it is for many families today. Children may take full baths several times a week, often on scheduled evenings, with face, hands, and other necessary washing between. Hair washing is less frequent for many girls because drying and setting long or styled hair takes time. Saturday night baths before Sunday remain a familiar routine in some homes. The mother plans those routines around school. Hair may be washed and set the evening before. Shoes are polished over the weekend. Laundry is assigned a day. Lunch ingredients are prepared after supper. Morning efficiency rests on a week of planning. You need not keep track of every chore now. You can drift beside the open bedroom window and let the details pass like dust in the sun, slow and weightless, while the house is quietly put back in order. By mid-morning, she may turn to laundry. Today there are school socks, shirts, underwear, towels, and kitchen cloths. She sorts them on the floor or into baskets. Whites in one group, colours in another, delicate fabrics separated. New synthetic materials require different treatment, and labels are read carefully. Nylon dries quickly. Wool can shrink. Rayon may lose shape. Cotton is dependable, but often asks to be ironed afterward, rather like a guest who arrives cheerfully and leaves several dishes in the sink. If she owns an automatic washer, she measures detergent and selects the cycle. The machine is a prized convenience. If she uses a wringer washer, the process is more hands-on. Water fills the tub. Clothes agitate in suds. She uses wooden tongs or careful hands, then guides garments through rollers into rinse water. The machine churns and hums, giving the house a mechanical pulse. She inspects each school garment. A stain at the cuff is rubbed with soap. A loose button is set aside for repair. Socks are matched. There is always a sock without a partner, though the family owns no one-legged members. The orphan goes into a basket in hope of reunion. On a clear day, she takes the wet laundry outside. The basket is heavy and cool against her hip. The yard smells of damp earth and fallen leaves. Clothespins click between her fingers. She hangs shirts by the tails, smoothing them with both palms. Dresses go where they will have room to move. A sheet rises in the breeze and briefly fills like a sail. From the line she can see the school roof or hear a distant bell, depending on the neighbourhood. She may wonder whether the child remembered the signed note. She may also enjoy several minutes in which no one is asking where anything is. Domestic life includes solitude in fragments. A cup of coffee near an open window, a favourite song on the radio, sun on a clean floor, conversation with a neighbour over the fence. These are not grand leisure, but neither are they nothing. The neighbour may hang laundry too. They talk about the weather, grocery prices, a school event, or whose child has outgrown a coat. Clothing circulates between families. A good winter coat may pass from older sibling to younger, then to a cousin or neighbour. Dresses are let down at the hem. Trousers are cuffed and later lengthened. A name may be written inside a collar, crossed out, and replaced with another. Hand-me-downs are not always welcomed by children, but mothers know their value. The skill lies in making them fit and feel respectable. A new ribbon, moved button, altered hem, or freshly polished shoe can make an old garment belong to its next wearer. After laundry, there may be baking or supper preparation. School mornings do not stand alone. They are connected to what children will find when they return. A pot of soup can simmer while other work continues. Cookie dough can be mixed and chilled. Bread may rise beneath a towel. Apples can be peeled for sauce. Her hands peel now, turning an apple slowly against a small paring knife. The peel falls in a curling red ribbon. The fruit is cut into a saucepan with a little water, sugar, and perhaps cinnamon. As it cooks, the house fills with a warm, sweet scent that will greet the children after school. Not every day brings homemade food waiting at 3 o'clock. Sometimes the snack is crackers, fruit, bread and jam, or nothing until supper. But when there is applesauce, cocoa, or a cookie, it becomes part of memory. Children often remember less about household standards than about what the kitchen smelled like when they came in from the cold. The mother may bake cakes from scratch or from mixes. Cake mixes have been refined and marketed heavily. Manufacturers discovered that many homemakers preferred adding fresh eggs rather than using a mix requiring only water, partly because the added step made the process feel more like baking and improved results. Whatever the reason, the mother cracks an egg, mixes batter, scrapes the bowl, and makes the cake her own. She may save the bowl for a child to lick later, though food safety advice will change such habits in future decades. At the time, the privilege of the spoon is a minor domestic prize, often awarded according to an order understood only by siblings and contested with legal intensity. Supper planning begins early, because meat may need thawing, beans soaking, vegetables preparing, or a casserole assembling. Frozen dinners have appeared and attract curiosity, especially the compartmented aluminum trays introduced earlier in the decade. They symbolize modern convenience and television-age eating, yet they do not replace ordinary home cooking in most households. They are occasional, useful, and perhaps exciting to children because the tray feels unlike a regular plate. The everyday meal is more likely meatloaf, stew, roast, chicken, fish, chops, beans, casserole or leftovers, served with vegetables, potatoes, rice, bread, or salad. Menus reflect culture, region, season, and budget. A mother may use a pressure cooker, slow oven, or large pot. She knows how to stretch a small amount of meat through gravy, vegetables, noodles, or dumplings. Cooking knowledge is carried in recipe cards, cookbooks, newspaper clippings, family memory, and touch. A handwritten recipe may say, "flour enough," or "bake until done," confident that the cook understands. Measurements can be precise, but experience answers questions the recipe does not. School morning care begins here too, in the pantry and evening meal. Leftover chicken may become tomorrow's sandwich. Biscuits can be reheated for breakfast. Applesauce fills a lunch container. Supper dishes must be washed before the table can be set for morning. The day folds into the next. The mother also manages household accounts. Bills arrive by mail. Payments are made by check or cash. She may keep grocery money in envelopes, a purse compartment, or a jar. A weekly allowance must cover milk, bread, meat, cleaning supplies, school requests, and unexpected needs. Children bring home forms requiring small fees. Shoes are outgrown. A winter coat must be purchased. Care has arithmetic beneath it. Some women keep meticulous ledgers. Others know the balance by instinct and folded receipts. They save trading stamps from supermarkets and gas stations, pasting them into books to redeem for household goods. Children may help lick or dampen the stamps, a task that is more entertaining at the beginning of the book than near the end. Coupons are clipped from newspapers. Specials influence the menu. A large purchase is discussed. The family may buy on installment, use layaway, or save in advance. Credit exists, but daily household spending often has the tangible limit of cash in hand. When the grocery money is nearly gone, the pantry becomes a puzzle made from rice, flour, canned tomatoes, eggs, potatoes, and ingenuity. This skill is not always visible at breakfast. The child sees oatmeal and toast. The mother sees how long the oats will last, whether bread must be bought, and what remains for Friday. The simplicity of the meal may be deliberate rather than plain. By noon, she may sit for a small lunch. Leftovers, soup, a sandwich, or coffee and toast are enough. If a younger child remains at home, the morning has included toys, naps, toilet training, stories, spills, and perhaps a walk to the shops. Not every mother's home becomes quiet when school starts. Babies and preschoolers continue their own schedules with complete confidence that school bells are someone else's concern. A toddler may follow her from room to room, carrying a spoon or wooden block. The mother folds laundry while answering questions. She places a saucepan and lid on the floor for play. She reads a picture book at the kitchen table. She times chores around a nap, if a nap occurs. The quiet interval is valuable and never guaranteed. If she has no younger child at home, she may attend a club, church group, parent association, volunteer activity, or neighborhood gathering. She may shop, keep appointments, care for a relative, or help at school. The image of the isolated housewife does not capture the networks many women maintain. They exchange favors, share rides, organize events, visit new mothers, collect clothing, and support community institutions. School itself often relies on mothers' unpaid work. They bake for sales, sew costumes, supervise trips, assist at parties, serve lunches, raise funds, and participate in parent-teacher associations. A request sent home in a child's pocket can become several hours at a kitchen table. Suppose today the teacher has requested cookies for Friday. The mother considers ingredients, time, and quantity. She may coordinate with another parent by telephone. The rotary dial turns and returns with its soft whir. The women speak briefly, because both have work in progress. They decide who will bring what. The conversation expands slightly into children, weather, and a new store opening nearby. Then they hang up and return to their rooms, connected by a few minutes of shared planning. In racially segregated communities, schools and resources are deeply unequal, and mothers' efforts often compensate for what institutions fail to provide. Black mothers, indigenous mothers, immigrant mothers, and women in many minority communities preserve family routines while navigating schools shaped by discrimination and restricted opportunity. A sleep history can acknowledge this truth without turning ordinary women into symbols or reducing their lives to hardship. Their mornings also contain toast, hair ribbons, missing homework, polished shoes, family expectations, laughter, and the work of making children ready. Traditions within homes matter. A mother may prepare foods from her childhood, speak one language with grandparents and another for school matters, teach a child how to pronounce a family name, or tuck a religious medal, handkerchief, or familiar object into a pocket. She may braid hair according to custom, press a particular uniform, or remind a child of manners expected beyond the door. For some families, school is a place of opportunity and anxiety together. The mother wants the child to be prepared, to behave well, and to be treated fairly. She cannot follow into the classroom. She can send the child with clean clothes, lunch, books, instructions, and the steadiness of the morning behind them. That sending is repeated day after day. It may look ordinary because it is ordinary. Its meaning lies partly in repetition. As afternoon approaches, the mother listens for the clock. She brings in dry laundry before the air turns damp. Each piece is unpinned, shaken, and folded over her arm. The clothespins return to their bag. The basket smells like wind. Inside, she sorts school clothes from household linens. Shirts to be ironed are sprinkled and rolled. Socks are matched. Towels are folded into thirds or quarters according to the family habit. A small tear in a pillowcase goes to the mending basket. She may sit near a window with needle and thread. The house is quiet enough to hear the thread pull through cloth. In and out. A knot, a snip, a smoothed seam. The same hands that hurried at 7 now move slowly. There is dignity in knowing how to repair a thing, but there is no need to romanticize every chore. Some women dislike mending, some postpone ironing, some buy prepared food gladly. Some keep immaculate homes while others maintain a comfortable level of order and close the cupboard on the rest. The 1950s woman is no more one personality than the modern woman. She can be skilled and weary, proud and impatient, traditional in one habit and inventive in another. Magazine advice can be demanding. It tells women how to organize closets, improve meals, remove stains, raise confident children, support husbands, maintain appearance, participate in community life, and somehow remain pleasantly rested. Real women read such advice selectively. They borrow what helps, ignore what does not, and sometimes laugh with friends about the impossible standard. Television adds new household images. Daytime programs, advertisements, and evening comedies present gleaming kitchens and neatly resolved family problems. Yet the television set itself must be dusted, and children must be persuaded to turn it off before homework. Every modern marvel brings its own housekeeping. By mid-decade, television is a major family presence, but mornings remain largely free from it. Some stations do not broadcast a full early schedule, and household routines do not generally center on children watching screens before school. Radio is easier, and time is limited. A child might glance at a test pattern or an early program in some homes, but breakfast entertainment more often comes from conversation, cereal boxes, or the urgent study of a spelling list. This absence shapes the pace. Children may dawdle, certainly, but they are not drawn into a glowing personal device. The mother's competition is daydreaming, a comic strip, a toy, the weather outside, or a sibling. Those forces are quite sufficient. Afternoon light shifts across the kitchen. The applesauce is cool. Cookies rest in a tin. The mother checks that the back door is unlocked if children enter that way. She may change from a work apron, comb her hair, or simply continue with what she is doing. Then comes the sound of school ending, first at a distance. The bell may not reach the house, but the street changes. A bus rumbles, voices rise, bicycle tires hiss over pavement, doors open and close. The children return with red cheeks, untied laces, crumpled papers, and several facts that must be reported at once. The neatness of morning has softened. A ribbon is missing. A shirt has escaped its waistband. One knee bears playground dust. The polished shoes have been thoroughly introduced to the world. Lunchboxes land on the table. The mother opens them to discover what was eaten. The sandwich is gone, perhaps. The apple has returned. A cookie has not. This provides useful information for tomorrow. Thermos bottles are emptied and rinsed promptly. Milk left in one all afternoon leaves a lesson for the nose. Waxed paper is discarded. A reusable spoon is retrieved. The boxes are washed or wiped and left open to air. Coats go on hooks, in theory. Books go on the table. Shoes are removed if muddy. A younger child talks about a classroom event in a story that begins in the middle and circles the important part without landing. The mother listens while slicing bread or pouring milk. After-school food is simple. Cookies and milk are classic for a reason, but there may be toast, fruit, crackers, cocoa, applesauce, leftover cake, or a sandwich half. The kitchen smells sweet and warm. Chairs scrape again, and the table resumes its place at the center of family life. This is where the next school morning begins. The mother asks about homework. Papers are unfolded. A spelling list appears. A permission slip emerges with better timing than yesterday's. She places it near the pen. School clothes are considered before the day has fully ended. If rain has soaked coats, they must dry. Wet mittens are placed near a radiator or stove. not close enough to scorch. Boots stand on newspaper. Mud is brushed after it dries. A torn knee is examined. A missing button is noted. The child may change into play clothes, protecting school clothes from further wear. This is a common habit. Dresses, shirts, and good trousers are hung or folded. Older garments are worn for outdoor play and chores. Changing extends the life of clothing and creates a small boundary between school and home. A daughter unbuttons her cardigan and puts on an older skirt or slacks. A son changes into dungarees. Shoes are exchanged for worn ones. Then they go outside until supper or darkness, depending on age, neighborhood, weather, and family rules. The mother gathers the school clothes. A blouse is hung. A collar is rubbed where soiled. Trousers are brushed. A loose hem enters the sewing basket. Tomorrow's outfit begins to form. Homework later returns everyone to the kitchen table. A child copies spelling words while the mother prepares vegetables. The knife taps the cutting board. An arithmetic question is asked. She wipes her hands, bends over the paper, and studies the problem. Perhaps she explains it. Perhaps she calls an older sibling. Perhaps she says to read the directions again, which solves more schoolwork than children expect. She listens to a paragraph from a reader while stirring gravy. The reader may contain carefully controlled vocabulary and illustrations of family life that appear very tidy. The child sounds out a word. The mother waits rather than supplying it too quickly. Patience is one of the less visible household tools. Spelling practice becomes oral. She calls a word. The child spells it. She calls another. One is missed and written 3 times. The pencil squeaks against paper. Supper simmers. The radio plays softly. This blend of education and domestic work is repeated in many kitchens. After supper, dishes are washed and dried. Children contribute according to age. A chair may be pulled to the sink. A tea towel grows damp. Plates are stacked. Leftovers are covered and refrigerated. The table is wiped for homework or tomorrow's breakfast. The mother then considers lunches. Sandwiches can be made now and kept cool, though some fillings are better prepared in the morning. Eggs may be boiled. Tuna or egg salad may be mixed. Cookies are counted. Fruit is placed together. Lunch boxes are checked for cleanliness and dryness. She may line up bags on the counter. Names are written. Napkins are tucked in. A thermos stands open overnight, so no stale smell remains. The routine reduces morning decisions. Breakfast preparation follows. Oats are measured or cereal boxes set out. The coffee pot is cleaned and ready. Bread is checked. If there is no bread, she writes it on a list or makes a quick trip to a nearby store before closing, depending on the place. Milk bottles may be set out for return with a written order for the milkman. In some neighborhoods, a card in the window or note indicates what is needed. The morning delivery arrives early, glass bottles clinking in a wire carrier. This service places fresh milk at the door, though someone must remember to bring it in. A child's clothes are selected. Weather is considered. The radio forecast is heard again. A sweater comes from a drawer. Socks are paired. Shoes are placed together, where no one should be able to lose them before sunrise, although the house has its methods. Baths may be scheduled. Water fills the tub. Soap, washcloth and towel are ready. Siblings take turns. The bathroom grows steamy. A mother washes a younger child's hair, shielding the eyes, while pouring rinse water from a cup or pitcher. The child leans back with limited trust. Hair is towel-dried, combed, and arranged for morning. Girl's hair may be braided damp to create waves, wound in rags, pin-curled or set in rollers. A scarf protects the arrangement overnight. Boys receive a combing and perhaps a reminder that tomorrow's inspection will be stricter. Fingernails are trimmed. Ears are checked. A small scrape from play is washed and covered. Teeth are brushed. Pajamas are buttoned. The house gradually moves towards sleep. The mother may still have ironing to do. She unfolds the board after children are in bed. The iron warms. A basket of dampened clothes waits. She presses tomorrow's shirt beneath the yellow lamplight, moving the iron in steady strokes. Television may play in the room. A comedy, variety program, drama, or news broadcast keeps her company. She listens more than she watches. When something interesting happens, the iron pauses safely on its heel. Her husband may read the newspaper nearby. They exchange remarks. The scene is domestic, not silent, but calm. She irons a dress, working around the gathered waste. The fabric releases steam. Seams flatten. She hangs it over a door. A handkerchief takes only a few strokes. Pillowcases are pressed if that is her standard. Some women even iron sheets. Others sensibly decide that a blanket will not complain. Mending follows. She replaces a button with one from the box, selecting the closest match. Thread passes through the shank or holes several times. A knot is secured. She reinforces a weak seam. The task is small, but without it the morning would contain one more problem. Then she checks the alarm, closes the curtains, turns off lights, and goes upstairs. The lunchboxes wait. Clothes wait. Coffee waits in measured grounds. The home has been prepared to begin again. If you are nearly asleep, let the repetition carry you. Evening folds into morning, morning into afternoon, and each familiar task returns in its season, as quietly as the hands of the clock crossing the same numbers each day. Winter changes the school morning routine more than any advertisement can smooth away. On a January morning, the house is darker and colder. Snow presses pale light against the windows. The mother wakes early to listen for school closure announcements on the radio. There is no website to refresh and no message sent automatically to a phone. School names or district numbers are read over the air. Families lean close, waiting to hear whether buses will run. If school remains open, extra work begins. Paths may need clearing. A furnace or stove requires attention. Boots must be found and dried. Coats are inspected for dampness. Mittens are paired. Scarves are wrapped. Children eat a hotter breakfast because the cold seems to ask for it. Oatmeal, cream of wheat, eggs, toast or cocoa gives warmth. The windows fog at the edges. A kettle sends steam into the room. A child draws a finger through condensation on the glass and is told not to, though the temporary picture is admired for half a second. Winter clothing is layered. Long underwear may be worn in colder regions. Wool socks, sweaters, leggings, snow pants, and heavy coats build around the child. Metal zippers feel cold. Buttons take longer through thick mittens, so mittens go on last. Rubber boots stand open on the floor. The mother may place bread bags or other smooth coverings over shoes or socks to help feet slide in, a thrifty technique remembered in many households in later decades as well. She tugs the boot heel. The child wobbles and puts a hand on her shoulder. The scarf is wrapped, the cap pulled down, the coat collar raised. The child says it is too much. The mother says the wind is sharp. Both may be correct. If children walk, she watches their progress through snow. If they wait for a bus, she keeps them indoors until the engine is heard, then sends them out in a bright cluster. Snow absorbs sound. Their voices seem close even as they move away. When they return, every item is wet. Coats steam near heat. Mittens are laid flat. Boots leave puddles. The mother stuffs damp shoes with newspaper, wipes the floor, and begins drying everything for tomorrow. Winter school mornings are prepared in the afternoon. Spring brings mud and uncertainty. A warm dawn may turn cold by noon. Raincoats and umbrellas appear. Mothers urge children not to jump in puddles with school shoes, an instruction valued mainly as a ceremonial statement of standards. Summer removes the school routine, except where summer school or year-round responsibilities continue. Yet the mother still prepares for autumn. Clothes are sorted, outgrown garments are passed along, new shoes are fitted, school supplies are purchased, uniforms are ordered or altered, names are written inside belongings. Back-to-school shopping in the 1950s is an important seasonal event, though budgets vary. Department stores and local shops advertise sturdy shoes, dresses, shirts, coats, socks, and supplies. A child may receive only a few new garments, combined with hand-me-downs and clothes from the previous year. One new dress or pair of shoes can feel significant. Shoe fitting is careful. Children stand on measuring devices. Toes are pressed. There must be room to grow, but not so much that the heel slips. Leather is expected to wear well. The mother calculates whether the shoes will survive until spring. School supplies have a clean, promising smell. Paper, wood pencils, wax crayons, paste, ink, and new cardboard. Notebooks are unmarked. Erasers have sharp corners. The mother labels everything she can. The child imagines perfect handwriting and never lost mittens. The year is still generous with possibility. The night before the first day, clothes are laid out with special care. Lunch is planned. Hair is washed. Baths are taken. The alarm is set earlier. Children go to bed excited, worried, or both. The mother may lie awake remembering something else that needs doing. A form, a bus time, a name tag. She gets up, writes the note, places it on the table, and returns to bed. Then the first morning begins, and the whole system wakes with it. Not all children welcome school. A younger one may cling at the doorway. A child entering a new school may speak little over breakfast. The mother notices. She does not necessarily give a speech. She may offer a favorite toast, adjust the collar, and say that the teacher will be waiting. If she walks the child to school, they move hand in hand along the pavement. Leaves turn beneath their shoes. Other families join them. The school building rises ahead, brick and tall-windowed, with steps polished by thousands of feet. At the entrance, the mother crouches to eye level, straightens a strap, and gives the final reassurance. Then the child enters. The door closes slowly. She remains for a moment, perhaps speaking with another mother, before turning home. That walk back is quieter. She notices gardens, curtains, the smell of coal smoke or damp leaves, and the light spreading over rooftops. Her hand no longer holds the child's, but it remembers the shape. By later grades, children do not need escorting. They leave with friends, ride bicycles, take buses, or walk alone. The mother's role shifts from leading to watching. She remains at the threshold while independence lengthens one block at a time. Teenage school mornings introduce new rituals. Alarm clocks ring behind closed doors. Hair takes longer. A daughter may set her hair, apply lipstick, select a skirt and sweater, and adjust a scarf. A son may study his reflection, combing his hair with renewed seriousness. The bathroom schedule becomes diplomatic work. Teenagers may want extra sleep and little breakfast. They may carry books under one arm and eat toast while standing. The mother insists on something more substantial. They compromise over an egg or glass of milk. Fashion matters. Full skirts, pencil skirts, sweater sets, blouses, loafers, saddle shoes, bobby socks, jackets, and neatly pressed trousers all appear according to year and local style. School rules may regulate clothing closely. Mothers help maintain these garments, though teenagers increasingly take responsibility for ironing, polishing shoes, washing stockings, or sewing simple repairs. Nylon stockings require care. Runs can begin from a snag. Clear nail polish may be dabbed at the edge to stop one spreading, though that does not restore the stocking. Girls may wear socks for everyday school depending on age and fashion. A special event calls for more preparation. A teenage daughter may iron her own blouse the night before under her mother's eye. The mother corrects the temperature or shows how to press the sleeve without making an unwanted crease. Knowledge passes through demonstration rather than formal lesson. A teenage son may pack a sports uniform, lunch, and books. His appetite changes the household calculation. Sandwiches multiply. Leftover roast disappears. The mother cuts thicker slices and wonders how the bread box became empty overnight. High school schedules include clubs, sports, jobs, dances, music practice, and examinations. The morning bag grows heavier. Permission slips and transportation plans become more complex. Yet the old gestures remain. The mother checks the weather, asks about lunch, and tells him not to forget his coat. Some teenagers prepare breakfast for themselves or younger siblings. A daughter may help braid hair, pour cereal, or walk a child to school. An older brother may carry 2 lunch boxes or supervise the crossing. Family work is shared, though the mother often remains the person holding the entire schedule in mind. That mental work is one of the least visible features of the 1950s school morning. She remembers library day, milk money, gym clothes, a teacher conference, weather, lunch supplies, a loose tooth, and which child has begun coughing. She knows when shoes are nearly too small and when the hem must come down. The information is not written on a central digital calendar. It is carried in notes, clocks, habits, and memory. A paper calendar may hang in the kitchen, perhaps given by a local business. Appointments are written in squares. School events are circled. A pencil hangs on a string nearby. Notices are tucked behind the frame or held to the refrigerator with magnets, if the refrigerator door will take them. The refrigerator becomes a household bulletin board, slowly and naturally. There may also be a chalkboard or memo pad near the phone. Grocery items are added as they run out. Children are told to write down what they need, with mixed results. A child remembers poster board at bedtime. The mother considers whether the drugstore is still open. Stores often keep later hours on selected evenings, but shopping is less continuously available than today. Planning matters because there may be no easy replacement at dawn. If poster board is unavailable, she searches cupboards for cardboard and paper. Household resourcefulness solves many school emergencies. Costumes are a particular test. A teacher announces a pageant or historical program. The child needs to be a pilgrim, tree, angel, pioneer, or seasonal vegetable. The notice may provide generous time, but the child's delivery system does not. The mother opens the sewing cabinet. Sheets, curtains, crepe paper, cardboard, old dresses, and imagination are considered. She cuts, pins, and stitches. The finished costume may not resemble a studio production, but it survives the assembly and allows the child to stand proudly beneath the school lights. On the morning of the program, ordinary preparation expands. Costume pieces are packed separately to avoid wrinkles. Safety pins are included. Hair is arranged according to the part. The mother repeats instructions about not losing the hat. At school, many other mothers have done the same. Behind each row of paper crowns and cotton beards are kitchens where scissors worked after bedtime. School lunches can also become special. A birthday may bring cupcakes. A holiday may require treats. Waxed paper, tins, and cardboard boxes transport them. The mother counts carefully so every child can have one. The best-shaped cakes go on top. Birthday mornings at home may include a candle in toast, a card beside the bowl, or a small gift before school. The routine remains, but warmth gathers around it. A child wears a new ribbon or favourite shirt. The mother watches the clock and allows an extra moment at the table. There are rushed mornings too. The alarm fails or the household sleeps through it. Everyone wakes late. Coffee is hurried. Cereal replaces cooked breakfast. Toast is carried in the hand. Hair receives the briefest possible arrangement. A button is fastened in the doorway. Even then, the mother's established system helps. Clothes are ready. Lunch supplies are known. Bags have places. She moves quickly through habits built over years. The children leave only slightly late, astonished by what can happen in 20 minutes. There are mornings after family celebrations, after a baby kept everyone awake, after travel, after storms, after worry. The kitchen may not be cheerful. Care does not require cheerfulness every minute. Sometimes it is simply the act of rising and putting bread into the toaster. There are mothers who are unwell, grieving privately, or carrying concerns the children do not know. The sleep-safe history of home can hold this gently. Ordinary routines often continue beside private feeling. A lunch is packed. A collar is straightened. The school door opens. The day is given its shape. Children seldom understand the full effort at the time. That is natural. The purpose of much caregiving is to make security feel ordinary. The child experiences breakfast appearing, clothes being clean, and a voice remembering the library book. Only later may she realize someone had been awake first. Perhaps that recognition comes when she becomes a mother herself. She stands in another decade, in another kitchen, searching for a shoe while toast darkens. Suddenly an old voice comes from her own mouth. "Where did you have it last?" The sentence has crossed time intact. Some 1950s practices fade quickly. Milk delivery declines in many places. Brown paper book covers become less common. School clothing grows more casual. Fabrics require less ironing. Disposable packaging replaces waxed paper and reusable containers. More households acquire dishwashers, clothes dryers, automatic coffee makers, microwaves, and multiple cars. Mothers' paid employment becomes increasingly common and visible. Childcare arrangements change. Breakfast may be portable. Lunches may be bought at school or packed in insulated bags with factory-sealed foods. Information arrives electronically. School closures appear on screens. Permission forms can be signed online. A calendar sends reminders before anyone must hold every date in mind. Some changes genuinely lighten work. Automatic washers remove much lifting and wringing. Dryers reduce dependence on weather. Permanent press fabrics shrink the ironing basket. Refrigeration and supermarkets broaden food choices. Better appliances, household products and communications save time and effort. Yet domestic work does not vanish. It changes form. A modern mother may not polish saddle shoes, but she checks whether athletic shoes are dry. She may not wrap a sandwich in waxed paper, but she searches for the lid that matches a lunch container. She may not listen to the radio for a district number, but she checks a message before dawn. She may not darn a sock, but she finds a replacement pair at the last moment and wonders why all the others are beneath a bed. The tools alter. The care remains recognizable. In the 1950s home, much of the work is manual and visible in the hands. Peeling, stirring, stitching, wringing, pinning, polishing, buttoning, braiding, wiping, folding. The hand learns pressure, timing, texture, and sequence. It knows whether dough needs flour, whether an iron is too hot, whether a forehead feels warm, and whether a coat button will last one more day. These skills are not all lost. Some have simply become occasional. A person who no longer sews every week may still replace a button. Someone who buys bread may still know the comfort of kneading dough. A modern kitchen may have a dishwasher, yet a hand still washes the favorite cup. The old emotions wait quietly and return when needed. Memory also preserves sounds. The percolator bubbling, the pop of toast, a spoon against an enamel pan, the snap of a lunchbox clasp, the rotary telephone returning after each number, the hiss of an iron on damp cotton, the school bus braking at the corner. Smell carries the house back even more quickly. Coffee, toast, wool coats warmed near a radiator, shoe polish, face powder, starch, pencil shavings, applesauce, and cold air entering through an open door. One scent can restore the whole room, including wallpaper no one knew they remembered. Touch remains. A mother's fingers at the back of a collar, a scarf tied beneath the chin, a palm flattening a cowlick, a quick fastening of the top button. Children wriggled away, complained, or stood impatiently, yet the body remembers being made ready. Not every listener remembers the 1950s directly. Some know the decade through a mother, grandmother, aunt, neighbour, photograph or kitchen object that remained in use long afterward. Household time does not obey clean calendar boundaries. A wringer washer can continue into the 1960s. A metal lunchbox can survive several children. An apron sewn in 1948 may still hang behind a door in 1972. Practices overlap. Families keep what works. New appliances enter gradually. Old habits continue because they are economical, familiar, or simply good. History inside a home is rarely replaced all at once. It gathers in layers. A kitchen in 1956 may contain a new refrigerator beside an old wooden table, a modern cake mix beside a grandmother's rolling pin, an electric iron near a hand-sewn clothespin bag. The mother herself carries layers, lessons learned during Depression thrift, wartime rationing, post-war abundance, family tradition, magazine advice, and her own judgment. She chooses among them each morning. She may save bacon grease because it is useful. She may buy frozen juice because it is easier. She may insist on ironed collars but happily serve boxed cereal. She may sew dresses and purchase bread. The idea that past homemakers rejected convenience is mistaken. Women generally welcome tools that truly helped, while adapting them to the household they knew. Nor does skill mean perfection. The oatmeal burns sometimes. A lunch is forgotten on the counter. The child reaches school with mismatched socks. A hem comes loose again. The mother loses her temper and later smooths the moment as best she can. Warm recognition lives in these imperfections. A perfectly staged kitchen is pleasant to look at, but a lived kitchen has a spoon in the sink and a note under the sugar bowl. Its order is active rather than untouched. By evening, the mother's hands may be dry from water and soap. Hand lotion sits near the sink or on the dresser. She rubs it into knuckles before bed. The scent is soft and powdery. Tomorrow, those hands will begin again. They will reach for the alarm. They will turn on the tap. They will measure coffee, open bread, test milk, stir cereal, tie ribbons, and guide buttons through holes. They will search pockets and sign papers. They will lift a child's chin for one last look before the door opens. The work is made from tiny acts. None seems large enough to represent a life. Together, they create the feeling of home. You can rest more deeply now and allow the school morning to move at a distance. The bags are packed, the shoes are found, the radio voice is low. Outside, the pale road waits beneath the trees. There is one more morning worth visiting, not because it is extraordinary, but because it gathers everything we have seen. It is late October, 1956. Rain touched the windows overnight and stopped before dawn. The kitchen floor is cool. The mother's robe brushes her calves as she enters. She lights the stove and fills the percolator. On the table are 3 lunch boxes, one decorated, one dented, one plain. Beside them lies a permission slip already signed. A cardigan hangs over a chair because its button was repaired after supper. 2 apples shine in a bowl. The 3rd child will take a banana because the apples are too crunchy this week. She measures oats. The flame whispers. Coffee begins to move through its cycle. Upstairs, a child turns in bed. Pipes murmur in the wall. The father coughs and reaches for the alarm, discovering that she has already silenced it. The mother opens the curtains. Morning is no brighter than before. but the glass shows the outline of the yard. Wet leaves lie flat against the path. She considers boots, then decides ordinary shoes with rubbers will do. The oats enter boiling water. She stirs them slowly. She cuts bread for sandwiches. One is peanut butter and grape jelly. The knife makes a smooth purple line to the edge. One is sliced meat with a thin touch of mustard. The third is cheese. She wraps each in waxed paper and presses the folds flat. The paper makes a soft, dry sound. Fold, turn, tuck. Her hands repeat what they have done hundreds of times. She adds fruit, cookies and napkins. A thermos is filled with milk. She tightens the cap, tips it briefly over the sink to test it, and wipes the outside. The boxes close with 3 small snaps. Upstairs, she begins waking children. The first sits up immediately, worried about a spelling test. The mother says they can review words at breakfast. The second curls away from the light. The third has lost one pajama sleeve during the night and seems surprised to find it still attached. She draws up shades, folds back covers, and gathers yesterday's socks. She opens the closet and points toward the clothes prepared on hangers. In the bathroom, water runs. Toothbrushes knock against a cup. The father shaves while a child waits with visible impatience. The mother combs a daughter's hair at the dresser, parting it neatly and fastening 2 barrettes. The daughter winces at a tangle. "Almost done," the mother says. It is one of the oldest promises in hair care. Downstairs, toast pops. She returns before it burns. Butter melts. Oatmeal is spooned into bowls, and brown sugar makes small islands on top. The family gathers. Chairs shift, coffee pours. Rainwater ticks from the eaves although the rain has stopped. The radio gives the time and a forecast for clearing skies. The child with the spelling test opens the list beside the bowl. The mother calls words while packing a handkerchief into another child's pocket. Necessary. The child begins, pauses, and tries again. The mother listens. She does not supply the answer. The toast is passed. Milk is poured. A spoon drops and is retrieved. Another child remembers a library book. It is found on the piano. A shoe requires a new lace. The mother threads it quickly, crossing the ends through eyelets and pulling them even. Someone has not finished breakfast. Someone else has finished and is reaching for a second cookie meant for lunch. The cookie is returned with a look. The clock moves. Coats come from the closet. The repaired cardigan is buttoned. Rubbers are pulled over shoes. Lunch boxes are assigned. The plain one nearly goes to the wrong child and is exchanged. At the door, the mother performs the final inspection. Hair, collar, hands, bags, books. She wipes a crumb from a lip. She gives the spelling child one last word and receives the right answer. Outside, 2 neighborhood children are waiting. Their voices carry through the damp air. The school group forms at the gate. The mother opens the door. The children step onto the wet path. One remembers to avoid the puddle, another does not. Lunch boxes swing at knee level. The child with the test turns back. "I know necessary now," she says. The mother smiles and repeats that she knows. They walk away. Wet branches shine above them. At the corner, one raises a hand. Then they are gone toward school. The mother remains in the doorway just long enough for the cool air to enter the hall. She sees the shape of their path, darkened by rain. She hears the faint chatter moving farther away. Then she closes the door. The kitchen waits with bowls, coffee cups, and the oatmeal pan soaking in the sink. A small spoon lies beneath one chair. The radio has moved to a song she likes. She pours the last of the coffee into her cup and sits down. Only for a minute. The chair is still warm from a child. The table carries a faint sticky mark from jelly. Through the window, the clouds begin to thin, and a quiet strip of daylight lies across the linoleum. Her hands rest around the cup. They are not idle hands. There is washing to do, a floor to sweep, apples to cook, a school meeting to remember, and a cuff to mend before tomorrow. Yet for this moment they are still, warmed by the cup, while the house settles around them. It is easy, from a distance, to describe the 1950s school morning through its objects: metal lunchboxes, paper bags, percolators, aprons, ironed cotton, milk bottles, radios, and polished shoes. The objects are charming because they are tangible. They remain in cupboards, antique shops, photographs, and memory. But the morning itself was not made by objects. It was made by attention. Attention to the clock and the weather. Attention to a child's appetite, expression, cough, and silence. Attention to the state of a hem, the amount of bread, the location of a book, and the sound of the bus coming around the corner. That attention was often quiet. It did not announce itself as expertise. It looked like ordinary mothering, ordinary housekeeping, an ordinary weekday before 8. The skills involved were practical and deeply learned. Time management without automated prompts, food preparation within a budget, clothing maintenance, hygiene, health judgment, emotional reassurance, transport planning, school communication, and conflict settlement, all while keeping the toast from burning. Much of it was not formally counted as work because it took place at home and was tied to love and expectation. Yet it required judgment. The smooth morning depended on knowledge gathered through repetition. The mother knew which task could wait and which could not. A bed could remain unmade until 9. A lunch could not. The floor could wait for sweeping. A bus would not. A complete hem repair could wait until evening. 3 holding stitches could not. This ability to rank small urgencies is familiar in homes today. It is one reason the old kitchen does not feel entirely foreign. Modern mornings may begin with a phone alarm rather than twin bells. Coffee may appear from a timed machine. Oatmeal may cook in a microwave. Weather arrives on a screen, and school messages appear before anyone reaches the stairs. Clothes may come from a dryer without ironing, and lunches may be assembled from containers designed to fit together neatly. Yet there is still a figure in the half-light remembering what everyone needs. She may be a mother, grandmother, father, grandfather, guardian, older sibling, or another loving adult. She still stands near a doorway checking for coat, bag, keys, glasses, lunch, medicine, homework, or permission. She still hears, "I cannot find it," at the exact moment departure should occur. She still learns that care is partly preparation and partly improvisation. Today's conveniences can soften the physical burden, though modern schedules create their own hurry. Families travel farther. Activities begin early. Work messages arrive at breakfast. School requirements multiply across paper and screens. The morning may feel less manual, but no less mentally crowded. That is why the 1950s routine can be comforting to revisit without pretending it was easy or perfect. Its objects slow the story enough for us to see the individual acts. Water measured, bread wrapped, a button sewn, a scarf tied, a child watched safely to the corner. The care is visible because the hands are visible, and those hands have not vanished. They may now seal a reusable lunch pouch, tap a reminder into a calendar, warm breakfast in a minute, or order replacement shoes from a sofa, but they still smooth hair, test a forehead, fold a small note, and rest for a moment around a cooling cup. A grandmother preparing a grandchild for school may hear echoes from her own childhood. She might braid hair as her mother did, though the barrettes are different. She may insist on breakfast with the very sentence she once resisted. She may tuck an extra tissue into a pocket, because some habits are sensible enough to survive every fashion. A person without children may recognize the same instinct in caring for a partner, friend, parent, pet, or herself. setting out what will be needed, preparing food ahead, checking the weather, making the next morning a little gentler for someone who has not yet awakened. Home life is full of these gifts to the future. The woman in 1956 fills the coffee pot at night for her morning self. She mends the cardigan for a child who will not notice the button. She dries the boots so tomorrow begins with warm feet. Each task crosses a few hours carrying comfort with it. We do the same when we charge a device, lay out clothes, prepare a breakfast bowl, leave a porch light on, or put keys in their proper place. The materials are modern, the kindness is old. Perhaps that is the warmest parallel between then and now. A home is not held together by perfection, nor by possessing the newest labor-saving appliance, nor by completing every task before sleep. It is held together by repeated attention, enough order to make room for ease, and small acts that tell another person the day has been thought about. The 1950s mother did not always pause to name those acts. She was busy doing them. Her child may not have thanked her for the polished shoe or sandwich cut the preferred way. Children are not famous for admiring logistical support, but the feeling often remained. The kitchen light was on, someone knew the time, and the world beyond the door could be entered with a coat fastened and a lunch in hand. That feeling still lives wherever one person makes a morning gentler for another. Now the old kitchen has grown quiet again. The lunch boxes have gone down the wet path, the oatmeal pan is soaking, and a thin beam of morning rests across the floor, while the woman's hands warm themselves around the final cup of coffee. You may let the clock fade, let the radio soften, and let the whole familiar house settle into stillness around you. Thank you for spending this peaceful time in the school mornings of long ago. Good night, and may you rest as gently as a quiet home before dawn.